kind of an interesting weekend for you guys, a rough one on Friday night. Didn't feel like you guys played very well, and then you bounced back in a big way with a pretty exciting 5-set win on Saturday. What does it say about your team's resolve that they were able to kind of shake that off and find a way to win on Saturday night?
Yeah, it was at the Toledo game, we did a lot of things really well. I think we attacked pretty well for most of the night. We were just very, very poor from the service line. That was obviously the difference in the game. But as I said that night, I made a decision last week to give our kids a lot of rest. As in, we practiced for a total of an hour and 15 minutes for the entire week. And when you do that, you know you're making an investment for what's happening 3 and 4 weeks from now. But you know you're also probably giving up something in the short term. And it's usually first ball contact. Serve and pass usually take a hit. Usually after about an hour of play, you get back into it and you're playing good ball and it works itself out. We were a little slower, I would say, in getting some of that back. So Friday night, I live with that, knowing that we're gaining something by doing that. Saturday was, it just seems like every time we play Ball State, I think it's 4 years in a row, I believe we've gone 5 with them. And my first year here, we went 5 at their place, and it felt a lot like this, I think, and you'd have to go back and look, but I think that year we won the first set 25-8, and feeling like everything's amazing, and then before you know it, we're in a close 5-set match that we were barely able to win. This year we win 25-10 the first set. We literally, everything we hit was great in the first set. We hit 430 and we won going away. Second set, total swing, and they played really well, and then we made a tremendous number of unforced errors. We hit, I think Ty told me at our last time out, we had hit more out balls out of bounds than we had kills at that point. Not blocks, not, okay, the other team making great plays. We literally had just hit more balls out of bounds. And so it was a total flip, and after that it was just a close match the rest of the way. They win the third. We're up early in the fourth by a little bit, then they're up big in the fourth, like a 17-12, and then have a couple of good scoring runs, and catch them just in time. And I think we had, I'm not positive on this, but I think they had 4 match points, I believe, against us, and so we had to hold off all of those. And then we got to the 5th set, and our team is really comfortable in the 5th set. We've had a number of occasions this year we've gotten to the 5th set, and all of a sudden that was our best set of the night, and that was the case again on Saturday. So overall, not a bad weekend. Hated that we lost Friday, but a lot of that's on me and making the decision that I did last week with the rest. And I think some of that we're still kind of getting back into the rhythm that we need to be when you're off a bunch of days in a row. And so we're going to still need to work to get a couple of kids back where they need to be, but I have a pretty good feeling that we'll be there by this weekend.
Not sure if this is a great analogy or not, but I know in baseball they say hitting's contagious. In basketball, if somebody's shooting well, it's kind of contagious. Is that the same thing with serving, where when you're on, kind of everybody is sort of feeling it, but then when you're not on, it can kind of go the other way?
I think that really depends on the team and just maybe the personalities. I think a good example on Saturday in the second set, every one of our hitters hit negative, except Mal. And Mal's just being Mal, and that's just, so it was a great example of someone, look, I refuse, if the level of play drops around me, I refuse to go down with it. And I think in all phases of the game, it can be like that, but ultimately it's an individual's choice. Am I going to choose to maintain my level of play or raise my level of play when people around me are struggling, or am I just going to kind of go down with it? And I think that's something that everyone on our team needs to learn from, is that when things are going well, of course, just enjoy that and give yourself some, pats on the back when you're doing something well. But when things are going poorly around you, you don't have to get on that ship. You can let that one go away and choose to be great, and that's something that Mal did really well on Saturday.
Speaking of Mal and kind of propping the team up, did you feel like she kind of put the team on her back on Saturday night? And
it would be hard to see it any way other than that. It was, I don't know what to say sometimes with that kid. It's just, a month ago, she's struggling so much as a hitter that she's in the libero jersey because she was defending and passing well, but she had a full weekend that she had negative. And there a month later, she's just working and working and working, which is what Mal does. And all the kills, that was great, but she went 20 and 20. She went 25 kills and I think 22 digs. That's not something you see every day. And it was truly special. And she's been, and I know you guys can figure out, look on the old record books and figure out, but I mean, that's 4 matches in a row that she's gone 22 kills or more. That's amazing. And she's doing it while hitting over 300 each of the last two weeks. I think she hit 333 this last weekend. And I think we struggled a little bit with set location this weekend. I think the time off probably wasn't great for our setters. And she still hit 333, and it's just incredible what she's doing right now. And again, we don't take that for granted. We're enjoying it. We're enjoying it with her, and we're proud of her. But you don't ever want to take greatness for granted, and that's truly what she's become. And now it's a matter of, can we get everybody going? A month ago, Allie and Jamie are just carrying the team every day, and no one else is really getting a whole lot going. And then Katie kind of started going, and then all of a sudden Mal's going. But so much of this is just, can we get to November 17th, I think, the start of the tournament? Can we get to that day with everybody clicking? And it's nice if you get a whole bunch of people clicking for a long period of time, but it's not really important. It's important that we're working towards, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, getting to that place. And so when we get to NIU conference tournament, then everybody's playing at a high level.
Without giving too much away, is there anything that Mal's changed, maybe technique-wise, that has allowed her to bounce back from that rough start?
I think there are a couple of small things. I think her approach angle was a little off, and I think specifically at the point that she was about to attack, she had a tendency to, instead of rolling through, with her feet and still accelerating on her last step, she was putting on the brakes, and she was like almost jumping up and slightly left, whereas you want to be jumping forward and very slightly right, or at least forward. And so we had to change a couple of very small things with that. But it's just getting used to tempo, getting used to a different setter. That just took her some time. And sometimes we forget, before this year, she had only been a collegiate outside hitter for a month. She's a 4-year starter, but all of her attacks were out of the back row until the last month of last season. And so the only ball that she had ever hit was a ball from a player who was delivering it really, really fast. And we don't have the ability to go quite that fast this year, and so it took her a while to get used to that. She's been great out of the back row all year. That hasn't changed. But the front row part, it just took her a while to kind of get the tempo, get the rhythm, and now she's doing a great job with that.
Can you talk a little bit about Simone and, you guys see your evaluation of her performance this weekend, being asked to step up as a starter for the first time?
Yeah, she was the 5th person to play middle for us this year, and the 2nd outside hitter to play middle for us this year. And talk about analogies kind of in different sports. That's like, going from a wide receiver to a linebacker. It's a totally different role, a totally different position. It's not easy to do that. And she was really good on Saturday. She went in Friday and kind of struggled, a little bit. And we made the decision, if we're going to get her out there, we don't expect her to be incredible defensively, because again, she's new to that position. She hasn't played middle hitter since she was a sophomore in high school. And so we want to make sure we set her enough balls to get enough kills to balance out what's probably not going to be great defense. And so when we played Friday night, we only set her 2 balls in the first set. And she was struggling blocking, again, just new to getting out there and the speed of the game and all that. And so we subbed her out and talked to her afterwards and said, look, we just didn't get you enough balls to make sense for us to keep doing that. Blocking is going to get better as we train it, and we talk about it a little more as you learn. And all she does the next day is goes out and gets 6 blocks the next day against Ball State while getting a career high in kills, and made some really big plays at key moments. She was responsible for the last point of the 4th set and then the first 3 points of the 5th set. Now, a couple of those in the 5th set where Jamie started a really aggressive ball, it became an overpass that Simone was able to put down, but she still put it down, and she still took care of the ball, did the right thing. So it was a joy to watch her be out there and compete. She is and has been a special athlete, and she's been learning to play volleyball at this level as an outside hitter. Now we throw her in the middle, and she did some things just from an athletic standpoint that were special on Saturday. Her ability to close the block from pretty far away, her ability to react to some things, that she made some moves that, and I don't mean any disrespect to any middle that we've seen, but she made some reactionary plays that I haven't seen a middle on our team make since I've been here at Ohio. Okay, I know that sounds like a big statement, but she's just a very, very fast twitch athlete. And she made some like go one way and then recover to go the other way moves that were really good. And they got even better when I watched it on video. I just got there watching video with a couple of kids, and we were watching blocking, and this other person that was watching video was like commenting like, wow, that was a really good move Simone made. And so we're excited for her, proud of what she accomplished this weekend, and just know it's only going to improve when she gets more time training. Because we made the decision last week that we were going to try Simone out in the middle, but we made that decision on a week that we didn't practice, and so she didn't get to practice. And so this week she'll get to train middle, and we'll be prepared for this weekend.
I know in the I believe it was the fourth set of the Ball State match, you made the decision to go with Caitlin at setter. Is that something that you are kind of envisioning being a deal where you're going to go with whoever's kind of got the hot hand for the rest of the year? Will you be making a change this weekend? What are you planning on doing?
Yeah, I think since we're using multi-sport analogies today, I think it's a lot like pitching, and some days you go out there and you have your stuff and it's really good. And then some days you go out there and you struggle and you got to get we'll call the bullpen a little earlier, and that's just part of sports. And it's interesting in our sport that you don't see that as much. For the most part, the kids go out there and they play, and there's not as much subbing in and out. And so because of that, it feels different in our sport. Whereas other sports, like basketball, kids are always rotating in and out. That's just really normal. You're going to see who knows how many pitchers in most games. It's just a normal thing. But in our sport, because you don't see it as much, it feels like somebody got pulled. Oh no, And I think this last week, having that many days off in a row without touching a ball hurt Steph. And I think the location tempo changed a little bit. But Steph's been really good for the last month, and so we certainly envision her being in that role. But we know that Caitlin can come in and get the job done. And I think what was great for Caitlin this weekend is that she got in and she was able to help enact change in our team and get our team to where it needed to be, and then achieve a win. And so she was able to walk out of there, and it was a great night for her because her high school team got car, van, bus, I don't know how they got there, but drove over 250 miles to come watch her play. And they didn't know if she was going to play or not, which is pretty cool by that high school to do that. And then she gets to go in and played really well the rest of the way and help us earn a win. So it's great for Caitlin. It's great for us as coaches. It's great for our team to know that we can win, and we can win fifth sets. We can win high pressure moments with either setter out there because we've done that. And so it's a very, it was impressive that Caitlin was able to come in and do that. And I think Steph, I was really impressed by Steph in the locker room afterwards. She was the first one to say, Caitlin, you did a really good job. I was struggling, and you were really good. And I think it said a lot about Steph that she was able to do that. It said a lot about our team, just team first mentality. But we still anticipate Steph being our starter, but know that we have a really quality person that can come in if we need it.
This weekend you get two MAC West teams that you guys are pretty familiar with. You've seen them plenty over the last 2 years. Can you give us a little scouting report on each of those?
Right. NIU is where NIU normally is at this place, and they're really good. And they're very mature. They have a number of upperclassmen kids that are as good as we thought they would be. No real surprise there. They've had a couple of games that have been close lately, which maybe that's been a bit of a surprise. They went 5 with Akron over the weekend, went 5 the previous week with Toledo. But we know they're going to be a great team. They always are. We had 2 really crazy matches with them last year. We got swept at their place, then we swept them at our place in the tournament. But we know they're going to be a great team. We know we have to play really, really well to earn that win. The Western Michigan is a team that really struggled to begin. They had lots of injuries, lots. And they're starting to get a lot of kids back, and they're starting to play really, really well. And they're defending at a really high level. They're a little different in that most of their offense comes from the middles and they're opposite. So I think that'll present some challenges for us from a defensive standpoint. But I think people know we're not the biggest on the left. Mal is a really dynamic kid, but she's 5'8", and blocking teams tend to go at her a little bit, so we expect that. That's not anything really surprising to us. But we're going to have to really work to make sure they get out of system, because you got two two quality middles and a one-footed opposite who was playing middle last year that are really, really good off of 1 foot. That if they're in system all night, then we're going to struggle. So we're going to have to be really good from the service line.
One last question for me.
Sure.
You're halfway through MAC play. What's your assessment of where you guys are at right now?
Not upset with 6-2. Honestly, that's not a bad place. I mean, when you go into the last weekend 5-1, then 7-1 is what you really want to be. But 6-2, halfway, that's not bad. But we have to improve at a number of things, and that to me is always the most important thing. And I would probably give you the same answer, and I probably did give you the same answer 2 years ago when you asked when we were 8-0, or last year we were 8-0. It's the same deal. We got to improve, and if we're doing that on a weekly basis, then we're going to be fine come November, and that's the goal.
You guys got anything?
Good one.
Here you go.
All right, so Coach, we've talked now about, we saw Natalie play last weekend, and then out Simone, Caitlin, they're all getting in. So how have you seen your team grow closer and bond because they know that at any point someone off that bench could be coming in?
That's a great question. I think it does happen that way, and the more, I think it's always easier with regards to chemistry. It's always easier with regards to team morale when more people play. I mean, it's just one of those things, and I think it's true in a lot of team sports, that if you have 20 people in your team and you go 8 deep every night and 12 people never see the court, it's kind of hard to really get as excited every day. And you're going to come in and give your best in practice, but it's great when you get that payoff of getting in games. And so it was going into the last match, Simone had played in less sets than anybody on the team by a pretty significant margin. And it's been so interesting with Simone because she obviously a very athletic kid, and she's worked really hard this year. She's had, I don't know, some of you guys are familiar with what we do at the end of practice. We basically vote on the person that worked the hardest, and they get an award, a gray jersey, for the next day. And she earned it like 3 times in the last 3 weeks. I mean, she's really been getting after it in there. And I've told her on a couple of occasions, I'm like, I hate that you're not able to get the on-court reward, the playing time reward, because you're behind Jamie and Mal, and they're really good. I mean, they're both putting up numbers that are pretty significant at the conference level, and so I was really, really happy that she was able to not only to get out there, but able to get out there and do something really, really well and perform at a high level and make key plays and really enjoy it. And she had family in the stands. It was just one of those great moments. I think our whole team, they're such a tight-knit group that when someone who hasn't maybe had that opportunity gets that opportunity and excels, then they just really enjoy it. And it was a really great moment for her. Really enjoyed it.
So in your 20 years of coaching, have you ever seen a player like Mal who's gone from taking no swings at libero to being one of the best offensive players on the court by far? And I guess just how unique is it to do that?
Well, it's all coaching. I'm just kidding. No, Mal is a special player, and it's just the things that she does. I mean, she's just so well-rounded. I mean, it's just. I mean, I've had some well-rounded kids. Yeah, I've had kids that did different things, some good athletes, whatever. But to go in the span of 4 weeks from libero to 4 matches in a row of 22 kills or more, not only have I not seen that before, I'd be willing to bet that 98% of Division I coaches have never seen that either. Okay, it's just not very normal that someone goes from struggling enough that we're not letting her hit to doing what she's doing now. And it's just impressive, and I couldn't be happier for her because she's a kid that just works, and that's one of those things as a coach, you're not supposed to, you're not supposed to have favorites. It's like, hey, look, I have favorites, and most coaches do, they just won't say it. And I'll tell you in advance, every year, my favorite kid is the kid that works the hardest, period. Because it's respectable, it's honorable to go out and work when no one's looking. Work over in Peden all summer long. Work not this summer when she knew she was going to be an outside hitter, but work last summer when you were a back row player and your coach says, hey, we might look at you at the front row. And she goes over there in May when no one else is here and just kills it. And then she does it all summer, and then she does it again this summer. And now at 5'8", she's touching over 10 feet, hitting the ball well. It just works, you know, and that's just one of those things I want all of our kids to have success, but I love it when somebody works really, really hard and then they get the reward for that. Because that's part of this whole thing we talk about, you know, lessons for life and goes beyond sports and how does this transfer later. That's life, you know, and there's some days that you're not going to like your job. There's some days that you really don't want to get up. You got to get up and you got to go to work. And that's something that Mal does. And I love that about her. I respect her so much for that as an athlete. And I know our team does too. I think our team, especially the new players, I think early in the year they were probably intimidated like crazy by her, because when you see someone that works at that level, it's either like, oh, that's awesome, I want to go be like that, or it's like, whoa, this kid's off her rocker a little bit. She's like a little crazy. And what we try to get across to our team is when that starts to look normal, then we're going to be great. When everyone buys into that level. And she's paid a price that's pretty special, and so I couldn't be happier for her.